Welcome back. It's a hot topic right now, discussions about raising boys.
That's right. Our next guest likes to speak frankly about it and says that we should all care about reaching tomorrow's men. Jennifer L.W. Fink is the mother of 4 boys herself. Check her out, ranging in the age from 14 to 22.
Don't look it.
Yeah, she is also a podcaster and a writer for the Washington Post, Parents Magazine, and the New York Times. We're so happy to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So we were teasing you today, just about like you're raising boys and you've got this great energy about you, and it's a different raising boys today than it was in the past. Why do you say that is true?
Culturally, a lot of things have changed, even over the 20 years that I've been raising boys. So number one, there have been changes in the education system. So a lot of the things that we were doing when we were in first grade, that kids are now expected to do in kindergarten, and some of it even in 4K. You know, write your name, print your name, write a whole sentence. And that's a bit problematic because generally speaking, boys' fine motor skills develop later than their gross motor skills. So holding a pencil is difficult for them. And then you have our cultural expectations of boys and men are beginning to shift and change. And so we've got boys right now that are sort of caught in that they don't know what we want them to be. On the one hand, they see men who are behaving in very traditional, stoic, powerful, domineering ways being rewarded for that behavior. And then they hear us as parents and teachers saying, don't be that way.
And talk about your emotions.
Exactly.
And tell me how you feel.
Exactly.
What would you say are the biggest challenges these days in raising boys?
I think that the biggest challenge is that a lot of people aren't even aware that boys face some unique challenges. There are many people that seem to think that because if you look around, men are still at the top of many, many things, that guys are doing fine and boys don't need our help or our support. And so there's been a bit of a tendency to overlook boys' struggles, despite the fact that boys lag behind girls in all of these measures like academic success, going into college and the workforce beyond, and are disproportionately represented in things like school discipline. So there's issues, and a lot of people don't see them and don't want to pay attention to that.
Boys are underperforming girls in school, yet overperforming in business. Interesting. But
you know, in 20 years, what will that look like?
What will that look like? Well, and that's what my question is what can be done? You know, how can we help our boys be more equal to the girls in school? Or what do we do? Because I don't think the answer is obviously holding back the girls.
Absolutely not.
So
Absolutely not.
How do we remedy this? Do you have ideas?
So I think the first thing is to look at the data for your school, your community. Where are girls? Where are boys? Secondly, you have to then really think a little bit about what are my preconceived notions. There is a bit of a tendency of some people to be leery of boy energy, to assume that boys are trouble or going to be making trouble or aren't going to be interested.
Because they're so physical.
Right, and so you have to work through some of that. And if you can, learn about male development. Boys and girls as adults get to the same place in terms of brain development and cognitive skills. It's just a different pathway. So understanding that makes a difference. Then adding in more physical activity definitely helps boys in school. It helps girls too. I mean, more opportunity to get up and move and do things, giving real world opportunities for learning and allowing boys, all children really, to incorporate their own interests and explore those interests through their learning is going to work a whole lot better than saying, sit down and learn this right now.
So when you say that communities need to get involved more, what is it communities can do to help boys?
I would like to see more community really acceptance of boys and boy energy. You know, right now in some places, if you let your boy go to the park alone and unattended, somebody's like, oh no. If you let your boy climb up in a tree, somebody's going to freak out. So
I've seen that before.
Absolutely.
I've seen it before, like, oh, they're gonna fall. It's like, okay, that boy could probably climb, you know, like, and the girl could too, but it's different. It is different.
It's different. And so there's this judgment sometimes that comes through. So what I really want is for people to look at boys and see that they're human.
Yeah.
They're human. They have the same needs, emotions, desires as girls, as men, as women, as everybody. So let's look at them and support them as unique human beings.
Well, I like the fact that you say unique human beings, because having raised 4 boys, I'm sure you've seen how different every one of them is.
Absolutely. They're all different. So I can talk in generalities about what boys need, and that's important to know and understand, but you need to tailor that to the specific child in front of you at any given time.
Real quick, what was your biggest challenge in raising boys?
Initially, it was dealing with the energy. I mean, I grew up as a girl and I'm kind of introverted to start with, so I did not understand why you would apparently randomly feel the need to jump up on the couch, chase your brother, dive off, and repeat over and over. I did not understand that.
Throw things, break things, pull them apart,
Right.
fix them, jump, wrestle.
Right, now multiply that by 4, and I'm living in that household.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. Clearly, you've got a lot of expertise, a lot of things to share with people. So I want to give everybody the information for your podcast so they can listen.
Thank you.
Here's Jennifer's podcast. It's on boys.podcast or podcast.com. You can just Google On Boys Podcast and it'll come up as well on your smart device. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I love those stories. Everyone can relate. That's
Yeah.
the thing.